presentation. Hello, everyone. Delighted to have Tiffany, and she is our People-Centered Internet Fellow for the being an ambassador to the community of the visually impaired. And so let me actually move ahead. It's wonderful what Tiffany has achieved in her lifetime. She is the founder of the Jyothirgamaya Foundation and a campaigner for disability awareness and an advocate for an inclusive society. And just 2 months ago, in fact, exactly 2 months ago, March 8, 2022, she received the highest civilian honor for women from the President of India. And we were very, very proud of Tiffany for receiving this award. So here is what Tiffany does within PCI as a fellow. She advocates for the access to the internet, and especially for equality for people with visual impairment. And an occasion like this is to make sure that our community knows about inclusion and accessibility, and also for PCI to stand as an advocate for the blind, the community of the blind. With that, I'd like to actually play a video. Let's see. I will stay quiet while this video is playing, and I'll meet you on the other end of the video. Oops, hold on.
I think that you're muted. If you go down to the lower bar, right, that there's a little microphone icon that you need to unmute.
Okay. Hold
It's in the
on.
black area. You see that? Is that microphone? Is there a line through it?
The host can unmute her as well.
Okay.
I'm not muted.
Okay. No.
You can hear me. Can you not hear the video?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, if you stop sharing and then start sharing, before you start sharing, there's a check mark that says share video or audio.
Share audio, right?
Okay, so I'll
you have to stop sharing.
Okay.
And then say share screen, and then at the bottom there's a check mark that says share audio.
Okay. Share screen. Advanced sharing options.
No, not. It should just say share screen at the below. It should say share audio.
Share sound. Yes, I see now. Okay.
Share sound.
Okay, good. Let me go back to that.
Thanks, Doug.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's try this again. How's that? Can you hear it?
Not yet.
No, I'm getting a warning sign that says microphone permissions.
Okay, I can hear it. So let me go back. Microphone permissions. I'm sorry.
It might be because of your headphones.
Oh.
I don't know for sure, but.
Okay.
That it might be cutting out from the main.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you have to pull it out, the headphones out of the. There it is.
There we go.
Okay. Phew. Good.
Jyothirgamaya is an eye to the blind. Now, when I mean an eye to the blind, I don't mean that we miraculously give the blind sight, but we give them their inner sight. We give them opportunities to see from their inner eyes, which does not exactly mean their physical eyes. At Jyothirgamaya, we endeavor to bring the blind out of their comfort zones. How many blind people are just with the four walls of their houses, not allowed to come out? I mean, they can be compared with birds in a cage. I mean, once you let a bird inside a cage, I mean, he's not allowed to come out. He's just stuck there. I mean, someone gives him food or gives him something and he's dissatisfied. That's how the blind are treated. Their homes, they're just stuck there. People give them food, they give them water, they give them clothes. I mean, there are two ways which parents treat the blind. One is extreme overprotection and extreme negligence. Now, overprotection, I say, I mean that they're not allowed to come out, they're not allowed to do anything for themselves, they're just made to be useless. And negligence is that their parents don't even want to educate them or want to rehabilitate them, and they believe that they don't have any capabilities at all. So at Jyothirgamaya, we want to bring out their capabilities. We give them training in various skills. First of all, we train them in orientation and mobility. Orientation and mobility is the ability to travel safely with accurate speed and with confidence. In orientation mobility, we teach them how to use a white cane. A white cane is a stick which enables the blind people to walk. We can find and detect obstacles. I mean, we can't detect what exactly the obstacle is, but at least we know that something is on the left side, something is on the right side, something is in front of us. So when we walk, we avoid banging or colliding into something. So that's a very important aspect. I mean, before any other training, we give most importance to this, because if a blind person gets a job somewhere, he has to be able to travel to office. And if he has to travel, he has to know mobility. He has to know how to use a white cane. He also has to know how to board public transport. We teach them how to travel in the bus, how to get inside the bus, how to ask the bus conductor where he wants to alight, which place is this, how to get his ticket or show his blind pass. I mean, we give them that kind of training so that they don't have to just stand there and wonder what to do. So we train them in orientation mobility, boarding public transport. We also teach another new aspect, which is not generally taught in India, and that's echolocation. Echolocation is to detect by sound. I mean, you may not actually detect what the obstacle is, but just by clicking your fingers or clicking your tongue like this, you know that you're in front of something or you're approaching something. It may be a wall, it may be a tree, it may be a room with a lot of echo. It may be an open space. If you click your fingers and you don't hear any echo, then it means that you're in an open space. So we also give a slight introduction in that field too, echolocation. Besides this, we need to teach them how to work, how to earn their livelihood, and that is technology, assistive technology. Earlier, computers and Android phones and all these things were unheard of. And when they were heard of, the side would think that, only we can use these things. But no, the blind can also use computers. They can use them with the help of a screen reader, NVDA, non-visual desktop application. And there is also another screen reader called JAWS, Job Access with Speech. So we teach them the use of these screen readers, how to work on a computer, how to open a computer, how to get to know the keyboard. We teach them Notepad and Word and Excel and PowerPoint and just the general functions of a computer. And we also teach them internet operations like Google search, website navigation, Google input tools, also social media, how to deal with social media like Facebook and Gmail, and we also teach them the use of Android phone and WhatsApp and all these kind of things that the sighted people can use. I mean, the blind can also send messages. They can also be part of groups and be part of networks. And, I mean, networking is really important, and we also teach them English, communicative English. I mean, how to talk in English. I mean, if a blind gets a job in a call center or in an office, I mean, you should know how to speak, how to communicate. So we teach them basic communicative English. We don't go boring them with the grammatical aspects. I mean, we do teach them some grammar, but then we focus more on communicative English or social English, as we may call it. Blind people are often lacking in exercise here in India. I mean, they often need to just sit, and as a result of that, their limbs grow weak because they're not walking, they're not exercising. So we have also started yoga training. Now, it's proved that in India, everyone does yoga, everyone likes to do yoga, especially here in Kerala. Yoga is really famous, but besides that, it's scientifically been proved that yoga improves our concentration level. It helps us to think clearly, to be more focused. It also improves our breathing. It improves our health also. It's medically also good to do yoga. So we have introduced a few yoga techniques which we teach the blind people so that they may practice it at their leisure time. So this is what we do in Jyothirgamaya, and I would welcome any blind person to come forward and get trained. We are there for you.
Wonderful. Let's see. This is an amazing video. Thank you for creating it. So Tiffany, would you like to begin? We have the key outcomes about awareness raising about PCI's work.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes. So I'm Tiffany Brar, and my role in PCI is to talk about digital accessibility among the blind people, how we can make the internet, as it is people-centered, how we can make it disability-centered or blind-centered, how blind people can access it, how it's easy by using the screen readers, NVDA and JAWS, by having certain design considerations. I have written some articles about accessibility, about the 4 principles of accessibility: perceivable, operable, understanding, and robust. So when we say perceivable, it means the website should be able to be understood by everyone. Operable means it should be operated by a keyboard and by a mouse. Understanding means that everyone should be able to understand it. And robust means that it should be compatible with the agents of access technology, that is the screen readers. So my article has been published by PCI on Medium daily platform. The links are in the presentation. Also, another important role of myself in PCI is to advocate about PCI to the blind. What does PCI mean? PCI means to make the internet people-centered, for blind people to understand. I have shared a lot of the PCI social media posts, and a lot of blind people are like queuing up now to become PCI fellows. So this is my role, to be an ambassador of PCI to the visually impaired community. Well, how have we raised awareness? We have sent emails regarding the accessibility and Google Meet to the Google team, and they have advised us for team. Also, one of the most prominent fathers of the internet, Vint Cerf, has honorably looked up something, how to access Google Drive on the list view and the tree view by pressing V, the shortcut V as in very, and then Shift plus Tab and Tab in order to toggle between the views. We thank Honorable Vint Cerf, sir, for his exemplary knowledge in this and for taking time in order to look up this for my sake and for the sake of the visually impaired community. We also sent an email to Microsoft, and we received a reply from Honorable Mr. Ben Wallace, who spoke to us about the accessibility of subscript, superscript, and PowerPoint. These are the options that I had asked for, which is not accessible. Has also asked us to contact the Microsoft Web scene, and there are some access keys and keyboard to access, like the slide creation, the Alt N to insert tables and ribbons, and sound effects in the PowerPoint presentation. very thankful. A blind organization which takes adventure, strictly casing a blind woman from Nepal. Her articles, her speeches have also been featured by PCI. How she became blind? By falling off a stage at the age of 16. And that's when she realized that she lost her sight. I have also written an article on include the visually impaired to address the blind person, not their caregiver. How to communicate with a person with autism, right, in plain and simple language.
Hello, Tiffany. Have we lost you? I'm sorry, everyone, about the difficulty on hearing Tiffany. She is in a noisy place. Tiffany, are you able to say anything? So in the slides, we're at the place where Tiffany is showing how she operates the Braille session. I wanted to personally say a friend of mine who is blind in Australia, he actually sells these Braille machines, and it's wonderful that, you know, it's a business for a blind person as well as helping other blind people. So the next slide is where Tiffany is really showing how to use the Android phone. Tiffany, are you back yet?
It looks like she dropped off. We're going to try and get her back on here.
Okay, great. I will run through her slides just so that we've got some movement ahead while and then we'll hope that we get her back. And her foundation helps people to learn how to use the computer. And this is really critical, as she said earlier, that this makes them employable. And of course, blind people are able to contribute and earn a living, but they have to be given that opportunity. And computers are really expanding the opportunities for the blind. So while we're waiting, I'm going to stop sharing and just invite comments from people. What do you think so far, what you've seen?
Well, Malin, I think that this is, pointing to, the value of universal design, right? And, the well-known axiom, that most designers accept, which is that when you design for someone who loses a capacity to see, to hear, to, have mobility, that the inventiveness becomes available and creates, great capacities for everyone, right? That when you, making something, better in Tiffany's world, where she has, less ability to use sight, it, these become capacities that we now use in, voice recognition, right? And being able to talk to things, right? And we take that for granted, but it started with universal design for people who, couldn't, see or ask for things in other ways.
Thank you, Kevin. Ben, did you have something to contribute?
Yeah, I'll first of all,
Tiffany.
I've been on the the board of American Foundation for the Blind, and I happen to be blind in one eye, but fully sighted in the other. And I have observed that what I really liked about her discussion was the representation of the principles of accessibility and how they manifest themselves. As Kevin says too, it's whatever accessibility challenge you have, you're looking at the core principles that compensate for that challenge. Hey, Tiffany.
Welcome back, Tiffany.
Welcome back.
Yes, because it's the internet, we can't predict what happens with the internet. So I'm really sorry. So I'm really sorry about this challenge. It happened because of the lack of internet and the poor infrastructure. So I hope everyone will understand. So as I was saying, we have written articles on accessibility and inclusion, how to include people with disabilities and not to exclude them, not to put us down, but to bring us up, to include us, to address us by talking to us directly. So many people ask, what will Tiffany eat? What will Tiffany drink? As though Tiffany is not existent. When we communicate with people with autism, we ask so many complicated questions, but they want plain and simple language, writing in concise language. What the hearing impaired want? They want sign language interpreters for the news, the TV programs, the conferences. No one has a sign language interpreter here in our country. Only in the deaf schools they have sign language interpreters, and it's very annoying not to have a proper sign language. Or television, they have it, of course, in the UK and the US, but not so much so in India. There in the US, you have the which ensures direct accessibility, but we do not have these laws in India. But worldwide, we have the web content accessibility guidelines. So let me guide you through how we can make our website accessible. Mark the headings properly with native HTML elements. Have all the elements properly structured. The combo boxes, the check boxes, the buttons, the video buttons, everything. All the elements of a website should be properly in order. The images should have alternative text, not text overlapping the images, but an option of inserting alternative text. Links should never be empty. They should never be read more, click here, and empty links. There should always be a descriptive text for every link. There should be a descriptive text. Avoid using too much jargon and simple content, simple understandable language. Avoid using content because using content causes seizures. So you
Tiffany, Tiffany.
Yes.
We're having really tremendous difficulty understanding what you're saying. I wonder if it's okay if you actually put yourself on mute and listen to some of the comments that people have on your presentation, and that may end up just working better for you to hear what they're saying.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I only said these things just to walk everyone through the articles that I have written, like the articles on inclusion and accessibility. Yeah.
So you can put some of those references in chat, Tiffany, and I'm sure that we can get some of those references to folks, after the call today too. We had a comment. Ben, let me just were you finished with your comment that you were sharing before?
Yeah, no, I am fine. I've just it echoes a lot of the experience that works not from the dimensions of extreme hyper attention or neglect. Is an important observation that we tend to work binary on that, and it's also about that the individual seeking their own level of engagement. Mm-hmm. And it's a dial that they need to control. And the portfolio you speak to, Tiffany, is excellent and well framed. It's not just promoting one pattern of access, as there is no one pattern of disability either. So it was very nice.
Could not agree more. Thanks, Ben. Doug Houlihan, you put some comments in chat about the work that you're currently doing in this space. Please join us.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment. I'm working with a smart glasses company called New Eyes, and they have a focus on a number of different areas, but one of them is on people with low vision, where you can have your smart glasses that weigh only 85 ounces, or excuse me, grams, and get an 85-inch screen in front of you. So for those with low vision, this is an application. They also have cameras on one of their smart glasses. And, you know, so this may be an area in the future where, you know, with using smart glass technology to help people with lower or no vision with aid in technology. So, you know, as I learn more, I'm just starting to interact with this company, but we may be working with one university on a low vision project, and I can share that with additional information as I know more.
Mm-hmm. That's good. You know, Doug, your background, you had a career, I believe, at Motorola. Is that correct?
That's correct. And then Nokia. Okay.
So in that world, you know, to what degree were you involved in, you know, providing, you know, handheld technology for people who had, you know, variety of disabilities, right?
Yeah, I don't think I did anything very specific within the Nokia other than just general technology. That's why I like this one company, New Eyes, I think is exciting as how it could help people with limited vision. I also think having cameras that, you know, you wear as smart glasses, so, you know, that can help vision, right? So that as these cameras look at the world, how do they then take that information and help guide people with low vision? I have a friend who has low vision, and she has different devices she uses to like read menus, read books, helps her out into the world. The other area working on is automated vehicle technology. So one of the areas is people with low vision. You know, the transportation is a big challenge for them. And with automated vehicle technology over the next 5 to 10 years, I think that will help tremendously as well. So, you know, I think over the next 5 to 10 years, as people roll out this technology for the general population, I think how can we help people with limited vision? I think could be something very helpful. And we always just need to keep a focus on this technology that we're helping people. That we're focusing on people-centered and people-centered with limitations of vision.
So I see that we have Tiffany's presentation up in you know, the chat session. So, you know, please reference that. I might suggest that you know, with the, you know, availability of cloud computing connected to mobile devices, that we have much better access to voice to text, and the other way around, text back to voice, so that things, you know, can be read, you know, back out, you know, to someone without having to necessarily, you know, use the screen to its, you know, full capacity or any capacity at all. So very interesting. Tiffany, I'll also add that the original different. Yeah, go ahead. You were going to say? Okay. That the original ringtones, right, that we are used to now that you pay for, that plays, you know, your favorite song or whatever. The original reason for having different types of ringtones was South Korean in origin, because you wanted to know in advance who you were about to speak to, because there are different greetings, right, that you have to have. And to be able to greet someone, you know, appropriately, family member, a person at work who's senior to you, a person who's a peer, a person that, you know, reports to you, they're all different greetings. So, you know, those different ringtones were necessary, you know, from a cultural accessibility point of view.
Yeah,
I think that's also very important to have that kind of accessibility, because then you already know who is calling you. And now, of course, the screen reader says the name and the number of the person. So we don't need to have those ringtones now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the technology is advanced, all right? So it's great. Other contributors, thoughts?
This has
Ben?
been just a second. Tiffany, I was mentioning earlier, I've been on the board of American Foundation for the Blind, and also happen to be blind in my right eye since I was 5, and but fully sighted in my other eye. And
Okay.
looking in the principle,
No, I have enough time.
I've observed a lot of macular degeneration issues and the different veilings, if you will, that impact, in my case, like a depth perception or something like that, is are certain kinds of challenges. We use the term people-centered. I almost want to say in these contexts, it's individual-centered, because you're after the individual's perceptual reach. And I think the new technologies augment and incorporate and enhance the individual access to the world as much as they wish to do so. I think the new environments of sensory impressions, immersion that we have are going to change a lot of the landscape. One of the things in working with virtual worlds, for example, I could see people who were quadriplegic that could dance, could do things that they thought were inaccessible to them, and get exposures, emotional differences. So the environments allow us to create and let the adjustments happen for the individual. So I hope when we say people-centered, we make sure that we're incorporating any individual projection of their needs to reach their interests and capabilities.
Thanks for sharing that, Ben. Other questions? I see that we have Coco Marindi from joining us from, usually joining us from Africa. Coco, you're there? Okay, perhaps not. So, Maylin, you know Tiffany's work well. Are there other thoughts that you believe our group should know about? I'm also interested in sharing, to what degree is this helping in other forms of innovation or adjacent forms of innovation, all right, that this research and this advocacy for accessibility is driving from your perspective?
I'll stick with the first question. And so particularly since Ben is a member of the board of the Foundation for the American Association for the Blind, I am very curious if our community can do more to connect between associations of the blind in the US to the Association of the Blind in India. I think that there is tremendous potential for cross-fertilization, and I am curious if anybody has suggestions on how we PCI could foster such connections. I actually came across this with multiple sclerosis. Tiffany introduced me to somebody who's a multiple sclerosis advocate in India. And then when I went looking up, there were so many tools and services that the American MS Society had made available. And I began to think about how could the American MS Society and the Indian MS Association collaborate. And I think that may be possible with the blind. And so, Ben, I want to throw it to you to see if you have some thoughts.
Yeah, I was on the regional board, and that was several years ago. But I'm sure I can engage whatever connections we might need. I expect, Tiffany, that you've had links with the various loci activities in the U.S.
Yes, sir. I have had.
Oh dear, Tiffany, we can't hear you. Tiffany, we can't hear you.
Tiffany, it might be appropriate for you to drop off and rejoin, because right now we can't hear you at all.
Yes, sir. So I have been associated with the Lighthouse for the Blind. Lighthouse for the Blind.
Yes,
Okay.
we can hear you now.
Yeah.
And I won the Holman Prize with Lighthouse for the Blind. Yes. Yes. So I won the Holman Prize with Lighthouse for the Blind. I was associated with Lighthouse for the Blind in 2020. Lighthouse. Yes.
So, Maylin, is Tiffany suggesting that Lighthouse would be a good bridge between the U.S. and India?
Yes.
I think
yes.
that-
That's what I'm suggesting.
Okay, thank you.
Are
Very
you
good.
aware of them, Ben? The Lighthouse for the Blind?
I know of it. I've heard of it, and certainly we can energize networks and see which things take off. Certainly happy to help.
That would be great.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that offer. Thank you. Thank you, Ben, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay. Oh, so you're saying that
I'm
Tiffany
very
won
grateful. I'm very
prize,
grateful
okay,
for this offer.
Hi, Malin, ma'am. It's me, Rajesh from India, as a multiple sclerosis person.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Hello,
Hello.
Rajesh.
Yeah.
Rajesh is the referral that Tiffany made for the having somebody with MS, multiple sclerosis. And so I invited him to join us for listening to Tiffany's presentation. Rajesh, unfortunately, we're having a lot of audio problems and having difficulty listening to Tiffany.
Yeah.
So we're actually just having an open discussion right now about the presentation that she showed. And for those who left, joined later, I'm putting into the chat the presentation that Tiffany made, including the video, which is a very, very good video. Back to you, Kevin.
Yeah, thanks a
So-
lot, ma'am. Thanks a lot. And thanks a lot, sir. Thanks to all. Take care.
Oh, thank you. I don't see any other questions at the moment. So, perhaps, Maylin, this will be one of our shorter sessions. I think that we're very grateful, all right, Tiffany, for you pushing through under less than favorable circumstances with your audio and the party next door. And we hope you can join the party now, all right, that we're about to end. But we're very grateful for you being with us, sharing your work as a PCI fellow.
No, I'm
And
not.
Maylin,
Actually, I'm not actually joining it. Yeah. So I was actually looking forward to this. And this is much more important. And I'm really sorry that I had to speak really loud. but I'm sure you understood that I mean really very much about inclusion and digital accessibility. And I'm sure you all will read my articles that I have written, and I'm sure you will understand what I mean about including everyone. That is my main message. And thank you, Malin ma'am, Impaired, Rose, Jill, and everyone who helped me put forward this presentation, and for all the support, and Casey as well. I mean,
Well, thank you, Tiffany. We are very, very grateful.
Kevin, and this is Ben. I'm
Go ahead,
Go ahead.
Ben.
Go ahead. Well, Tiffany, did you have something?
No, she
She's
went on
gone
mute.
on
Go
mute.
ahead.
I was just thinking if we had some standards for level of inclusion, that taxonomy is there probably from these several dimensions. There's thresholds of inclusion that give direction to aspirations of access, that instead of just mechanisms to try to go against a norm of that people say is normal access, I think there are new approaches as you get into virtual worlds, metaverse, Web3 spectrums. We're looking at new patterns of real engagement. And I don't think we should work against a historic standard. We ought to have a taxonomy of inclusion, inclusability, and inclusion ability that that let people set their levels of aspiration, and whatever their condition, their individual condition is. And that way it also merges. You're not just chasing one pathology. You're looking at aspirational reach for anybody.
That makes a lot of sense. So you're suggesting that there is no taxonomy of this type at the moment?
I am unaware of it. Nor have I sought one out, but it just seems that we not only have needed it in the past for our accessibility capabilities, but we absolutely need it going forward as we look at dimensions of sensory immersion and inclusion that are wholly different than we've historically experienced in the past.
It's very interesting. And, I could imagine that, having explored this at IBM, that could almost be a grid where there are levels, and then you would look at sensory, seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching, smelling, right? And, saying, all right, so what's the gradient, right? As you move from, fully capable in that sense to completely not available, right? And what are the accommodations?
Our haptics, our olfactory reach, and other mechanisms are so much richer than we've had in the past, that we have new abilities and new mechanisms for our reach for whatever pathology one has, if it's sight or hearing, that there are so many different pathways to addressing them now than we've had in the past.
Yeah, I mean, and we know that it gets addressed in the senses come in, and it gets addressed in different parts of the brain, right? So for instance, olfactory, a lot of it gets processed in the amygdala, the more primitive part of the brain, but the one that responds immediately, because if it's something that you smell that is part of the vocabulary of that says, don't put that in your mouth, that's fire, get away from that, all right, that you almost have an immediate reaction. And for the things that are really bad for you, you can pick up 2 parts per billion, all right, through your nose. So anyway, dogs do a lot better since they navigate the world, right? but we're still very sensitive, to that kind of stuff. With people having lost their sense of smell during COVID, what was an obscure, right, area has become more pronounced, right? Because a larger part of the population is aware of how debilitating that can be.
And taste as well. And you mix in our abilities for olfactory generation and creating senses, not and addressing it, are a part of the portfolio you have now that you didn't have 10 years ago.
Yeah. So Tiffany, if you're interested in what we just talked about, I can, point you to sensemapping.world and how we make that dimensional, all right, as a system for, for organizations, because we actually have a practice, right, that studies this. Glad to help share that with you and your colleagues in India or elsewhere.
Sorry,
yes.
I have one question. Sorry,
yes,
I'm
please.
Jyothirgamaya. Yes, I work in a different topic, but still in measuring end users' experience with the internet.
Okay.
But that's where my focus is, and I'm really inspired by Tiffany's presentation. And my question to her would be, where does she see the activities she has been doing? How could one get involved, or basically extend her work also to edges in Africa, in countries like the DRC, where there have been civil wars, and of course they are also people with disabilities around there, and how could that work be extended in such countries? Does she think the steps she took during the work, is it also applicable in different other countries? Thank you.
Tiffany?
Yeah, I don't know so much about Africa, but there is Liberia Blind Association. There are many blind associations. There are many blind people. I can connect you with some blind people I know in Africa.
Great.
So,
and I'm in touch with Dudon. So Tiffany, if you send them to me, I'll connect you and Dudon Munganga.
Dudon, where are you joining us from today?
Oh, currently I'm in Cape Town, South Africa.
Okay.
Yes, but I'm originally from the DR Congo, in the east part, where actually those sad things happen. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you for sharing that. I was actually asking one of our other members who, Coco Marindi, who joins us regularly from, trying to remember, Mayland, what country he's.
It's Rwanda,
Rwanda.
and yeah, and a neighboring country.
So, so we're delighted that you were able to share that with us, Duande, that perspective.
I'm glad to be here, and thank you for the invitation.
Thank you for being with us. So, other questions? Let me just take a look here. We have.
I was just taking notes.
Yeah, I see a lot of your contributions and note taking, Mayland. Thank you. But I don't see any other questions. So today we will end up just about on time. And Tiffany, you have our gratitude for joining us today, and Mayland for all the people that you and the board have selected as fellows, right? And Tiffany, you've kicked off a whole series of presentations that we will hear from our PCI fellows, and we're grateful for you being the very first. Mayland, any comments before we conclude today?
I am glad that we had this session. It is the beginning of really showing and working with the larger PCI community on our commitment to access, that a people-centered internet should not exclude people due to their abilities. And yet that is happening. So the more we can come together to help each other and to support people like Tiffany and Raj with the MS community, we are really doing the right thing. So thank you, Tiffany. Thank you, Raj.
Thanks everyone for being with us today. We'll see you in 2 weeks, where we have another presentation from one of our PCI fellows. So take care and have a great week ahead, and happy Mother's Day, all mothers out there. Cheers.
Thank you all, and thank you,
Bye-bye.
Kevin. Bye-bye.